Classic SpongeBob Flash games. What is? Oh my goodness! Stop! It's not weird. It's perfection. Wow, 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 wow. Bushwa. How is it still loading?
Citing sources. Details matter. Introducing
Details matter.
Karen, my computer wife?
Shut up.
It seems I can't sleep. Got anything that'll...
It's literally at 1:44 p.m. still struggling. How? How is it struggling?
Do the trick? Ah, yeah. Thank you, Karen. I think I'll take some prescription.
It's like 2:40 p.m. How? It scrolls to low 1 pixel. Good
Karen,
lord.
my computer wife? It seems I can't sleep. Got anything that'll do the trick? Ah, yeah. Thank you, Karen. I think I'll take some prescription. Benadryl. This should be good enough. Wait a minute. What
is this?
Do you know who else has dementia?
Take off your skin. Pull off your skin. Banger. What the heck? Bro looks like the most disinterested man I've ever seen. Bro. Vibing. Bow, 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 China successfully killed the winner. Winner. The metaverse is scarier than anything. Wait, I have it.
You don't need a vacation. You need freedom.
Yes, I do.
At TRS hotels, you will
On
find
TRS.
Be unaware of what Food Pass was doing.
Little did you know that Food Pass was still taking money out.
Today?
Surprised it's even running. Bro, my computer's a beef.
Hey, we're gonna talk about the metaverse. To deliver deep and
Today we're going to talk about sex.
immersive experiences
I'm
in the
just kidding.
metaverse.
Game emulates all physical sensations.
Because isn't that the ultimate promise of technology? Our mission remains the same, still about bringing people
What is
together.
this random? What is this random
ask
ass
you a question.
footage?
Have you ever wanted to escape into another world? To be
No.
able to create a different version of yourself and go
No.
wherever you want and do whatever you want?
No,
Sounds
I'm an introvert.
No, I'm an imbecile.
like a dream, right? Well, it's turning into a reality. Welcome
Yeah, I
to the
bet.
metaverse. So, what is the metaverse? Imagine a virtual world where billions of people live, work, and interact with each other, all from the
Yeah,
comfort
imagine.
of their couches. You basically
Wow.
put on a virtual reality headset and you're transported into a virtual world. In simple terms, the metaverse is the internet, but in 3D. But what's the metaverse like today?
No
We're gonna
way.
answer that and more. It's time to dive into
No, it literally isn't. I have virtual reality headset over there, and I don't use it for social media. I only use it for like Gorilla Tag or something like that.
the dark sides of the metaverse from the beginning, the dangers today, and what the future holds. And it's
Oh yeah.
the criminal doctor who created food pets. One of the oldest examples of the
What the heck does that?
metaverse are the virtual
Go like it.
worlds in
How did my stream not crash from that? That's cool.
online games. Before virtual reality games like VR Chat took over, the metaverse was dominated by online games made for children.
Oh,
Games like
yeah!
Penguin and Pop Tropica were
Woo!
popular in the 2000s.
I never played. Wait, turn up. It didn't even, bro. Go ahead, turn it down a little.
But one you might not have heard of was Foopets. Foopets
Yeah.
was a free-to-play website where users would look after virtual cats and dogs.
I have a headset over there, VR headset. I use it, well, when my parents aren't home. What, they aren't now. Anyway, I do Gorilla Tag, Rec Room, not what in VR Chat, obviously, but I'm in Gorilla Tag, Rec Room, you know, all the fun stuff, not social media or business or something like that.
You would bathe them,
Something
feed them,
stupid
decorate
like
the
that.
rooms, and trade your pets with
Oh,
other
that's a
players.
cute little
Foopets
cat.
was opened in 2007 by Dr. Ron Horn.
That's the year I was born. That was the year I was. No, that's the year after I was born.
Breaker, aka Doc. According to Doc, they had 1 million active members.
1 million!
5,000 people signing up to play every single day. But
What?
let's pause for a second. Because
1
there's way more to Doc
million?
than meets the eye.
What?
I told you that this kind-hearted doctor at the head of this kid's game was actually a convicted con man. You see, before we used Discord or Skype for messaging, people used to talk on AOL chat room. It was pretty infamous for obscene things happening there, but it was also a hub for criminal activity. And Doc would take advantage of this. He would go into these chat rooms posing as a woman to entice rich married men with the promise of more than just chatting. You know what I mean? Then Doc would pretend to be the woman's husband, who also
Whoa.
happens to be a police officer. Then he would blackmail these rich married men for money. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, ridiculous enough to work because he was charged with fraud and went to jail for 18 months. So after time in jail, did Doc all of a sudden
I'm
change his ways and
speechless.
create a safe online space for kids to play? What do you think? There were countless
That's
complaints
a good
from
point.
angry parents about food pets. The site started to exploit non-paying users until they eventually forced players to pay just to keep playing. Free-to-play users had their accounts frozen, and when parents would call the food pet support team, they wouldn't find much help.
But the customer service on the site is downright abusive. They attack parents who complain and tell them repeatedly either to keep paying or shut up. And if you really complain loudly, they delete your account and keep your child's pets and delete them all.
And even if you were a paying
Wow.
user, canceling your subscription was pretty much
That's just a jerk move. That is a narcissistic move. Like in general, that is so evil.
impossible. And we have a story
No,
about just
my
that. An
pets!
unnamed user
Oh,
decided to
my
cancel
virtual
subscription.
pets!
After successfully
Oh!
team, she was told that her subscription would be canceled the next day. For months, she was completely unaware of what Food Pets was doing.
Little did she know that Food Pets was still taking money out of her credit or debit card for over 6 months.
6
The
months.
user posted about this on the
Good
Food Pets
lord.
forum, but an admin of the forum deleted it in just 10 minutes. Seems to me the doc hasn't changed his ways. Finally, in 2019, Food Pets was shut down, and
Hold up.
Doc allegedly sold the game's domain to an adult content company.
Adult
There are rumors that Doc is serving time in jail again, but we couldn't find any sources to back that up. Regardless, Food Pets remains
What?
shut down, and its reputation for fraud lives on. This Food Pets incident is our tamest story yet. You guys might recognize the game in our next chapter. The downfall of Club Penguin. When we talk about
No!
nostalgic
I never-
2000s games,
I never played Club Penguin. I never played it. I never played Club Penguin in my life, and probably never will.
possibly the most popular one was Club Penguin. Released in 2005, Club Penguin was a virtual online world for kids. Your character was a penguin and you would play games across the map to level up and customize your igloo. It was insanely popular with 200 million users in 2013. But sadly, in 2017, the original game was shut down. But it wasn't the end.
I like the emoji. I was a kid in 2017. I hadn't gone through puberty yet at that age. I didn't know what Club Penguin was. I didn't know.
For the game. Club Penguin fans actually started to recreate it. They wanted to
Whee!
could continue playing. And one of the most popular fan creations was Club Penguin Rewritten, also known as Club Penguin Online. This rewritten game only brought terror because this fan game was a front for one man's sickening desires. A man who was infamous across the club.
Oh my goodness, it's a pedo penguin. Oh my goodness, it's a pedo penguin. Of all things, it's a pedo penguin.
Penguin community, and his name was Riley,
That's very
the owner
fun to
of the
say.
game. In 2020, an ex-moderator of Club Penguin Online known as Dominic came forward with horrible allegations against Riley, the owner of the site. Dominic claimed that Riley was using his position on the site to take advantage of young female players.
Oh.
Riley would accept moderator applications through Discord DMs. He would sift through these applications and single out young girls. Then he would
No.
manipulate these girls into sending him inappropriate pictures.
Oh
and
no!
gaming privileges. Then
No!
he would use these inappropriate pictures
Minecraft
to blackmail these
YouTuber
girls with their
behavior.
families. But this behavior wasn't new because there were allegations against Riley dating back to 2018. If that wasn't bad enough, Riley's associate was a notorious cybercriminal. Keep that in mind because Dominic went through something terrible. Shortly after Dominic came forward with evidence against Riley, Dominic made a post on his Discord.
Hello, I'm informing everyone today that I will be leaving Penguin Saloon and the CPPS community as a whole. I will be
I wonder why. Probably because he did that. Probably because you actually did that.
leaving the full ownership of the game in the hands of Hash. I'm doing this for my safety. I'm not going to mention.
Oh, don't do that safety crap. Don't do that. isn't for your own safety. It's for the safety of your ego.
Mention names, however, it was
My
brought to
safety,
attention
my
that someone
butt.
was planning on hiring a hitman or someone of that sort to kill me and my family.
Dominic states that the threat wasn't made by Riley, but someone who had private information about him. So it may not have been Riley himself, but it could have been someone on Riley's team. Possibly Riley's close associate, the cybercriminal. Thankfully, this story has a happy ending. Disney, the company who owned the original Club Penguin game, took personal steps to bring Riley and his website down. And as of creating this video, Club Penguin Online has been shut down because of an investigation that revealed that the game had dangerous content for kids. Riley was supposedly arrested, not only for the things that he did to those young girls, but also for copyright issues from Disney.
I thought it was just because they were jerks. I thought it was just because Disney is... Ooh. I thought it was because Disney is weird.
So far,
Dang.
we've talked about 2 metaverse games intended for kids, but there's another virtual world
At least this lawsuit has some meaning behind it, unlike Nintendo. I'm
made for adults.
watching
It's
you.
worse. Costing $13 billion in 2022 alone and wiping out over $500 billion investor dollars. And most importantly, it's ruined the lives of thousands. I'm talking about Meta's Horizon Worlds. The world's largest tech companies all bet big on the metaverse, but it created a loss of stock market capital that we haven't seen in almost 50 years. And if you think this doesn't affect you, think again. As these companies decline in value, so do the portfolios of nearly every major institution, hedge fund, and investing platform, including investors like me and you. But there's one market that performed better in the last 26 years than the S&P 500, even when tech stocks soared: the art market. And now you can access it in minutes without needing millions of dollars thanks to Masterworks. Every Masterworks exit today has returned a profit to investors like you. The results speak for themselves. 10, 13, even 35% net returns all in the last 3 months. With over 630,000 users, Masterworks offerings have sold out within minutes. They
Wait,
even
is
have
this-
to make a waitlist for new users, but I got special access for you guys to skip it. So click the link in the description right now. And thank you to Masterworks.
I knew it! I knew it was a sponsor!
I live a second life.
Dang it!
The massive multiplayer game Second Life is one of the oldest metaverses, but it doesn't have the best reputation. Second Life was released all the way back in 2003 by Philip Rosedale. It's a completely open-ended virtual world where users can create anything and be anything. In Second Life, you can go to social gatherings, live concerts, and even attend college classes. Yes, college classes. But many people use it to fulfill their dark fantasies.
Oh, dear God.
Second Life has an age rating of 16 and over. But that's not even the age demographic who play the game. The average age of players in this game is 32 years old. And Second Life has been dying for the last 14 years, but people still play it today. So what's keeping this slowly dying game alive? In life, you can go to social gatherings, live concerts, and even attend college classes. Yes, college classes. But many people use it to fulfill their dark fantasies too. Second Life has an age rating of 16 and over. But that's not even the age demographic who play the game. The average age of players in this game is 32 years old.
32.
Second Life has been dying for the last 14 years, but people
That's a lot of
still play
creepy
it
grandma.
today. So what's keeping this
I mean,
slowly
grandpas.
dying game alive? Adult content. An insane 50% of content on Second Life is adult themed, which means that at least 50% of the user base, if not more, engage in adult content and acts on Second Life. But not all of it is as spicy as you may think, because some of it is just evil. Our writer CJ created an account and explored Second Life, and some things you saw were so graphic that we can't show them to you guys. When you spawn in Second Life, you start out in a dark, dirty alleyway. If you walk around for a bit, there's a cave that leads into a dungeon. We walked into the dungeon and saw that the walls and floors were painted with red splotches. There are chains and empty cages hanging from the ceiling, and this equipment isn't meant for animals. There were even posters on the walls that show advertisements of the girls in the dungeon. And all this is happening to the sound of echoed screaming. Sure, none of it is real, but who would make something like this? Whose fantasy is this? If this is the kind of content allowed on Second Life, I wonder
Nope. That's creepy.
Where it started. But what's the metaverse like today? It's time to explore the dangers right now. The dark world of VR chat. Yes, VR chat, the place where a
I'm glad I
furry
got
and Brandon can have a
VR chat.
conversation
It's
about
creepy.
politics, and no one thinks anything of it. If you follow my channel, we made an entire video about VR chat and the crazy stuff that goes
Yeah, I'll
on.
watch that.
VR chat is an online virtual reality game where players interact with each other in virtual worlds. Players create servers called worlds, which can be anything from cozy apartments to distant planets. In these worlds, players can chat about anything together. Sounds innocent, right? Well, you have no idea. Even the users who play VR chat every day admit that the game has gotten off the rails. The community is like the wild, wild west, from violent gangs to sadistic cults. And did I mention that VR chat is filled with kids? And someone took advantage of this. On December 26, 2022, police in Utah sent out a statewide Amber Alert about a young boy who went missing. 2 days went by without any word from this boy, but he was eventually found on December 28th with the police arresting 26-year-old Aaron, also known as Hunter Fox on VR chat. It turns out Aaron met
God, it's a furry! Kill it! Kill it!
Boy on VR chat. And after getting to know each other, Aaron manipulated the boy into meeting up. Aaron traveled 12 hours to carry out this crime, but there was something that made this guy different from the other people we've covered. The fact that he saw nothing wrong with what he was doing. More specifically, the relationship. Aaron
God, he's a map supporter. God, he's a map supporter. Of course.
posted a
I
few
go do
tweets
the
about his new boyfriend in just 2
SQC
weeks before
thing.
the incident. Aaron never said who he was talking about, but we can connect the dots ourselves. He said he was going to spend who he was if wrong with what he was doing. More specifically, the relationship. Aaron posted a few tweets about his new boyfriend just 2 weeks
Doing
before
the
the incident.
doing the
Aaron never
SUC
said who he was
pose.
talking about, but we can connect the dots ourselves.
Oh my goodness,
He
a
said he
giant
was going to
roach.
spend the rest of his life with them. And quote, I am so lucky. We played VR chat together for about an hour. Today I heard his voice for the first time since November 20th. This is already the best Christmas.
Jail. 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 Jail.
I love you. Thankfully, the boy was returned to his family and Aaron is awaiting charges. And if you want to know about the dark world of VR chat, you can watch my video on my channel. Now it's time to move into one of the most well-known sides of the metaverse, cryptocurrency. The criminal's currency. Cryptocurrency is taking over the world. You can literally use Bitcoin to pay for a pizza from Pizza Hut. And you've heard of Dogecoin to the moon. So what is crypto exactly? Crypto is a digital currency in which transactions are verified by a decentralized system instead of relying on something like a bank to hold your money. Crypto is essentially virtual money. Many people invest in crypto like they invest in stocks. But the problem is that many types of crypto are just so unstable. Some can have a value of 200, but the next day it can be 20.
Trillion dollars. And now the mark. Oh! Oh! It went to zero! That is a live rug pool. What the?
And sometimes people bet their
Wow.
life savings on a certain cryptocurrency and end up losing everything. But that's not the worst part about it, because crypto is the
The danger of gambling.
criminal's currency. There aren't many government regulations on cryptocurrency. This makes it so easy for criminals to launder money, and one of the most common forms of this is the classic call center scam. The YouTuber Kid Boga gave us an inside look into one of these crypto scams.
These scammers were claiming to be from the federal government. Hackers used your identity to set up 12 bank accounts and buy a bunch of illegal stuff. The scammers could prove your innocence if you would move all of your money into a government machine, better known as a Bitcoin ATM.
And once
That is so evil. They accuse you of a crime and you have to pay your money to get to prove your that is so evil. That is the most evilest thing I've ever heard in my life. That's crazy. Oh my god.
once you moved your money into the Bitcoin ATM,
my
scammers will steal that money
God.
and sell it for a profit. You might think that no one would fall for this, right? Well, the numbers are shocking. In 2020, Americans lost $29.8 billion to phone scams. And that's not surprising if you consider what happened at that time. People were isolated, alone, and more vulnerable than ever. Especially older grandparents separated from their families because they don't know much about technology. They're a prime target. But scammers aren't the only ones who use crypto. Crypto is used on the dark web too. The dark web has the most morally corrupt websites. It's literally the darkest place on the internet. And transactions on the dark web are mainly paid for using crypto. But not everyone gets away with criminal acts. And our next chapter is about just that, where a disgusting criminal operation was taken down by following a trail of Bitcoin. The suspicious
Well, I didn't know.
transactions. Criminals
I didn't know
love
about
crypto
that.
because of the lack of rules surrounding it. But we never said that crypto was anonymous. In fact, it's anything but. And this incident shows just how true this is. In 2017, law enforcement started an investigation to follow suspicious transactions happening on the dark web. They did this by following a strange pattern of transactions from a certain web address. So they dug deeper and uncovered what the trades were. What they found was horrific. They discovered
dear
a
God.
hidden website called Welcome to Video, which was a disgusting cesspool with over 8 terabytes of inappropriate videos of extremely young people. Members of this website would trade Bitcoin for these terrible videos.
Oh my
It was a
God.
website. It had around 1.28 million users and 4,000 paying members.
4,000?
And the was one man. 23-year-old Jong Son-woo. At that point, he'd been running Welcome to Video for over 2 years, which had over 300,000 downloads throughout.
300,000 downloads.
But their work wasn't done yet. There were still people out there with the sickening media on their computers, maybe even selling them to other people. So law enforcement had to act fast. With access to Jong's files, they were able to track down and arrest over 330 people across Korea, America, and Europe. On top of that, law enforcement was able to free 23 kids from trafficking.
Yeah!
A security analyst explained that it's public misunderstanding that Bitcoin was secure because it was anonymous at the start, but law enforcement already caught up. Not only did law enforcement catch the monsters behind the syndicate, but also rescued kids too. So we've talked about the past and what the metaverse looks like today, but now it's time to look into the future, and it's not looking good. Facebook is taking over the world.
How good is
As
it?
of writing this video, the metaverse is barely in its infancy. Virtual reality is a long way from perfection, but there's one company investing in it so heavily because they believe it's the future, and that company is Facebook, and they changed their name to Meta. Meta bought the company Oculus in 2014. Oculus was one of the original virtual reality companies, and now they're developing their own virtual world. But the thing is, it's not very good. In fact, Meta has only around 200,000 monthly users with 600 daily users.
I tried Horizon Worlds, but it was just weird. I couldn't. No, I couldn't. It was. If I couldn't move, I tried every button to move.
Well, if you take into account that the single game VR chat has almost 9 times that amount every single day, Meta is doing terribly. I don't know what the future holds, but Meta, or Facebook, has a pretty sketchy track record. So if they became the center of the metaverse, things could get bad. Meta also owns Instagram, and it landed them in hot water. Meta did an internal investigation into Instagram and how it affects the mental health.
And they made it worse. And they just upgrade the mental illnesses. They just made it worse so they commit
Teenagers. Meta themselves discovered that 1 in 3 teenage girls have body image issues because of Instagram. And among teens who had life-threatening thoughts, 13% of British teenagers and 6% of American teens.
God, what is wrong with the British? I thought they don't have to pay taxes, I think. What is making British people so suicidal? What is it?
Teenagers trace their hopelessness to Instagram. I don't need to tell you just how harmful this is to young people. We can only speculate what the metaverse is going to be like. But if it's like anything Meta has done in the past, things need to change. And as you'll see in this next chapter, this is just the surface of Meta's bad reputation. What the future holds. Facebook was and still is one of the biggest social media platforms online. It's been around for 16 years, and in that time, it's had many
16
controversies.
years.
But one of the biggest ones was to their own employees. Facebook has
Wait,
almost an infinite
wait, that's
amount
my
of
age.
content. Countless people posting on the site every minute. So in 2017, Meta announced that they would be boosting their moderation team to 30,000 people. It was a great job opportunity for many, but these new moderators didn't know what they were getting themselves into.
Basically, they told me that I would be going on to like high-profile social media accounts, such as like Disney World or like Orlando, and I'd be doing kind of like some data searching, like seeing what types of posts most people react to and they comment to and like to.
This is just one example of what Meta would tell their hopeful new moderators. In reality, these moderators would be packed into cramped, dirty offices and deal with incredibly difficult tasks. First,
Wow.
they would have to moderate content in line with Meta's terms of service. But what they weren't told was that the terms of service would change almost daily. To make it worse, moderators needed to have an accuracy score of 98%. And if they didn't reach that score, they would be criticized.
That's probably the main focus there. And every day it's you got bad quality, you gotta send it back, you gotta do, like, all the time, you gotta do disputes on this. Oh, why is your quality so low? Every day, every day.
Every day they're sort of hammering that home that you need to be perfect.
Next, they would have to watch some of the most unsettling content you could ever imagine. The kinds of things that stick in your mind and never go away. I can't tell you guys what they saw in detail, but this former mod saw things done to animals.
Imagine if manufacturing
I'll never be a moderator.
automation was simple. Introducing
I couldn't have the guts to be a Discord moderator or a Reddit moderator. I couldn't.
I just think about all the animals all the time. And that's what I'm still thinking about, even though I left.
These moderators would have to deal with these horrific posts, and even though there were on-site counselors to help, the posts were just too graphic to bear.
They say all the time, okay, we have these counselors here to help you, but we've got 9 minutes of wellness every day. So I'm supposed to go talk to this counselor about the 500 videos I've looked at today in 9 minutes, and I'm supposed to be okay?
Many moderators were diagnosed with PTSD. And if that wasn't bad enough, the moderators would have to do all of that in disgusting conditions.
And how many bathrooms are there for the 800 employees that work there?
One bathroom. There is one bathroom.
One bathroom? Not even two, like for men and women? One? Dang, that's evil. Just one bathroom for 800 people. Wow. Good lord.
In the entire building.
Facebook allegedly wouldn't even let the buildings have fire drills because they didn't want the moderators to stop working. They could have worked them to death.
Good lord!
I know that ultimately it was the choice of these moderators to continue working.
Jesus!
But being one of the largest companies in the world, Meta could have done more to help their employees. With these situations happening with Meta today, if they build their own virtual world in the metaverse, we need to be prepared. Because it's much easier to click off a screen than escape your own virtual life in the metaverse. I truly believe that the metaverse is gonna be our future. Tim Sweeney, CEO of Epic Games, explained that this metaverse is going to be far more pervasive and powerful than anything else. If one central company gains control of this, it will become more powerful than any government and be a god on Earth. Like I said, I don't know what the future of the metaverse holds, but you have the ability to choose how it affects you. This life is 100% yours to manage. You can't change this. circumstances, the seasons, or the wind. You can't change the metaverse, but
Wow.
you can change yourself. That's something you're in charge of.
Wow.
Visual adventure. Wait, before you go,
That's
click this
inspirational.
playlist right here to watch more dark internet documentaries.
No, shut up. No, shut up. The Gets Us campaign is probably one of the best. Probably one of the best campaigns. The darkest depths of the ASMR community. Come on.
Decided to put a blanket ban on. Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm
Hello.
going to systematically dismantle the genre of ASMR, telling you just a few of the most controversial stories that have plagued the community since its rise to fame in the early 2010s. Okay, I can't do it anymore. Let's talk about the darkest depths of ASMR. This entire video isn't going to be in ASMR, I just wouldn't do that to you guys. So first things first, I want to give you...
Hello. This is my ASMR. This is mouse flicking.
Do you like that? No, I guess he didn't. Because he left. Anyway.
A little rundown on what ASMR is, just for the few people that are watching this video that might not know. So ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, and is defined as the tingling sensation that usually begins in the scalp and moves down to the back of the neck and the upper spine. If you want a dumbed-down definition, it's like sounds made that's meant to trigger a tingling feeling in you.
Oh.
It's meant to be relaxing, but there'll likely be a lot of ASMR fans watching this very video, but if you are one of those people, you might be shocked to find out that there's been research conducted that has found links between ASMR and neuroticism.
Wait, hold up. Well, I need to get some tea. Alright.
Just in case you don't know what neuroticism is, it's a personality trait that heightens the chance to frequently experience negative emotions such as anger, fear, jealousy, and anxiety. In February 2022, there was a study conducted by Charlotte M. Ide, Colin Hamilton, and Joanna H. Greer, which aimed to understand the link between ASMR and neuroticism, as well as anxiety. They took 36 people that experienced ASMR and 28 people that didn't, and made them watch a 5-minute ASMR video with common triggers. Prior to this video though, they made each of these people fill out a small questionnaire on their levels of neuroticism and anxiety, both predisposed anxiety and their current anxiety levels. What they found was that people that experienced ASMR had significantly higher scores in neuroticism and anxiety than non-ASMR experiencers. But also interestingly, these people, the ones that claimed to experience ASMR, had significantly decreased anxiety levels after watching the 5-minute video. The non-ASMR experiencers had no real change of anxiety prior to or after the video. They stayed the same. Therefore, it's logical to conclude that ASMR has a positive impact on people that experience neuroticism and anxiety. It soothes them out. And your love for ASMR might not be as optional as you think. You're drawn towards it because it has a positive impact on you. It's therapeutic to you. So do keep this in mind over the next 20 minutes as I take a steamy dump on ASMR. It has a lot of skeletons in its closet. When harnessed in the right context, it can be a force for good. These stories I'm about to tell you though, is when it's harnessed for the wrong reasons. So with that said, I want to turn our attention now to perhaps the most overarching controversy within the ASMR community. A lot of the stories I'm about to get into can be traced back to this single problem, and that is the gender divide within the ASMR community, especially when it comes to sexism.
Yeah, women! Woo! Women!
So
heck yeah!
ASMR is traditionally thought to be a female-dominated niche online. A Medium article published in October 2019 claimed that when searching for the term ASMR on YouTube, out of the first 15 results, 12 of them were by women and only 3 were by men. I decided to do the same thing as well, heading onto my incognito tab for reasons, and my results were similar. Of the first 15 results I was shown, 13 of them were female ASMR creators to only 2 male. Now there are a number of reasons for this, but the main ones that I found ASMR creators to only 2.
I like this guy. This guy seems like a nice dude. He seems like a good friend.
Male. Now there are a number of reasons for this, but the main ones that I found is that a female's voice is generally lighter than a man's, so it's more fit for ASMR, that whispering and speaking softly isn't traditionally a male trait, so there's generally less male.
Excuse me? Excuse me.
ASMR artists, and that while female viewers don't tend to have a preference for who they watch when it comes to gender, male viewers don't generally want to listen to other male ASMR artists. Now this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Throughout the internet there are some online communities that are dominated by men, and there are other online communities that are dominated by women. The problem lies in the fact that in the past there have been a lot of male ASMR viewers that have sexualized ASMR creators, female creators specifically. And if you don't believe me, which you definitely do, I mean come on, it's blokes on the internet. Either way, I'm taking you back to 2012. We're taking things back.
Oh God, not 2012!
Specifically one.
Oh, good lord!
Named ASMR Aurette.
Greetings, travelers. I'm going to send you in a car crash.
Before the niche blew up, just like anything, it had to have its early days. And in the case of ASMR Aurette, she was one of the first creators to gain some serious traction making these videos.
Why is he pointing?
Tens of thousands of subscribers. Re-uploads of her content today tend to garner hundreds of thousands of views, but her videos had to be re-uploaded because at some point in either late 2014 or early 2015, she permanently deleted her own channel without notifying her fans. And this led many of them to take to Reddit to ask why. The community came up with 2 leading theories. The first one was that she was just generally a very busy person and now did not have the time for YouTube. I'm not sure about her age, but she does seem to be an older teen to young adult. Obviously that age comes with a very busy life. She might have just not wanted to carry on
He's
with
busy
YouTube.
as an
That's the
adult.
logical answer. But second was that she had been harassed and perhaps even stalked. But more generally, many people on these Reddit posts claim to have seen some severe harassment in her comments. And even Aurette would bring this up in a video that she made shortly before her disappearance called What ASMRists Think.
I wanna hear. Oh god.
Whatever the reason, the
I wanna hear. Oh god.
Whatever the reason, the likelihood is that we'll never know. This happened almost a decade ago now. But the fact that this is the first place that people went after one of the largest ASMR creators of her time disappeared is not a good look for the niche.
Yeah.
At the very least, it wasn't all those years ago. So, based on that previous story, I think it's fair to say that some people sexualize ASMR. I don't think it's too controversial to say that some people get their kicks from it. The art form is inherently intimate. It's like someone whispering into your ear, which is always a good sign if you're into that person. But apparently PayPal thought it was too hot to handle because in September 2018, they actually froze the accounts of many of the most popular ASMR artists. And this was apparently because they were violating PayPal's acceptable use policy on adult-oriented services. This is 100% legitimate, believe it or not. Some of the largest creators in the ASMR community, such as ASMR Glow, Scottish Murmurs ASMR, Creative Calm ASMR,
Somebody call me.
and Rose ASMR took to social media to reveal that they had their PayPal accounts frozen.
I'm surprised this isn't frozen.
And this was because back in 2018, there was a conversation being had about whether this niche could be considered adult work, even if it wasn't intending to be. It's to my knowledge that over the past few years, PayPal has increasingly put restrictions on this particular type of job, with them ceasing to take payments from the hub back in 2019 and having it written on the top of one of their policy pages that it doesn't allow account holders to buy or sell sexually oriented goods or services. Now, whether this was a good thing or a bad thing, that's up to your judgment. But by putting a freeze on these accounts, PayPal
It's a good thing.
and said that they thought that ASMR is inherently sexually oriented. So the question has to be asked, is it? And for that, I want to direct you to a study published by the University of Swansea in 2015 by Emma L. Barrett and Nick J. Davis, where they took a sample of 245 men, 222 women, and 8 non-binary people ranging between 18 and 54 years old from Western Europe and North America, each of which claimed to experience ASMR. They asked each of them to fill out a survey based on their relationship with the niche. And what they found out, among other things, was that 5% of the people asked reportedly were sexually interested in ASMR, with 84% of people disagreeing with that statement, and 5% of people not having a strong opinion on it. But what that means is that
they don't know they're aroused. I don't know.
At least 1 in 20 of you guys that watch my intro and experience ASMR got some sort of weird, sick pleasure from it. You freaks.
Heck
But
yeah,
on a
dude.
serious note, because that 5% of ASMR listeners are into it, PayPal thought,
I'm
you know
just
what,
kidding.
that's enough so that those creators are violating our policies. In fact, that 5% of people seems to be significant enough so that there's a word that describes the content that's been made with them in mind. Every time someone uploads a suggestive ASMR video, it could be described as ASMR erotica, which I have to give it to them, that is a good name. But it seems as though
Yeah, it
PayPal
is.
wasn't such a big fan of this. But they weren't the only ones to have this belief, because did you know that just a few months prior, in July 2018, ASMR was fully banned in China?
For generations, Bridgestone has made tires.
I don't care.
See it work. During our
How about that? I don't care.
If you know anything about modern China, you'll know that especially when it comes to online content, they tend to be very strict in what they allow their citizens to see and share. And apparently ASMR is just one of those things that the Chinese government
Bing chilling, bing.
have deemed to be untenable within their society. I'm sure you're interested to find out why, but I think you as well as I already know the answer. It's down to its potentially vulgar and pornographic content. That 5% in the Swansea study really stitched everyone up, because apparently China agreed that that 5% is just too high, even if I do doubt they based their decision on the Swansea study. And so even though the vast majority of people that listen to ASMR don't get any gratification of that nature out of it, China still decided to remove ASMR from their largest video streaming sites, such as YouTube, Bilibili,
Deserved.
and Douyu.
Just saying,
But do remember
deserved.
that Western platforms in which ASMR is rife, such as YouTube and Twitch, were all banned in China anyway to begin with. Honestly, I could make an entire Book of the Ban video about what's banned in China, and I guarantee it would be at least 6 hours long. But back on topic, the country's anti-pornography office came out to say that there was what they deemed inappropriate content that was being hidden within these videos, hiding under the guise of being a relaxing ASMR video, but in reality, being much more adult. Which, and this is going to sound a bit strange, they kind of have a point. There's a lot of creators out there that know about the 5% and therefore create content to cater towards them. But the controversy comes in when you consider that the vast majority of ASMR content uploaded is not explicitly for this reason. Some of it might be a bit questionable whether it is or isn't.
That's a good
but
phrase
you
for
have
me.
to say that just tapping on your keyboard or scanning stuff at the supermarket, like surely there's nothing too weird about that, right? Either way, China decided to put a blanket ban on all things ASMR. So unless they've repealed it since, there's no soft chewing in Chongqing, no whispers in Wuhan, no buzzing in Beijing, and no tapping in Tianjin. And since we're on the topic of ASMR being outlawed, let's talk about Twitch. Because over the past few years especially, there have been many large female streamers that have either been banned or suspended from the site because of their ASMR content.
Whoa.
I really don't want to spend too long on this one because it's kind of more of the same. The only difference is that the creators that were getting banned, are getting banned, and will be getting banned are all doing it because they're clearly violating Twitch's policy on sex and nudity. Like, there's no other way about it. Even though I've already made the point that most ASMR content is not for this reason, the people getting banned off Twitch were definitely doing it for adult gratification. So for me, it's quite difficult to say that their bannings weren't justified. It's right there in the policy rulebook. You can't do this kind of stuff. And even though there's no nudity, nothing's inherently being shown most of the time, I mean, these women know what they're doing. They know the 5% is flocking over to their channels for a specific reason. Whether or not it's fair that Twitch has this policy in place to begin with, that's up to your own personal discretion, but since it does, you have to abide by the rules set in place by the platform on which you're on. In this case, we had Saber Princess, who was banned in February 2022 after sucking on her microphone.
Hold up.
Which is clearly meant to be simulating something else. The video is so on the nose on what it's meant to be simulating that I don't even think I can show it here. I believe that this was the highest profile case just in terms of how viral the clip went, but there's also some other high profile cases in terms of streamer size that have happened too. As in June 2021, both Amaranth and IndieFox were banned from Twitch for their suggestive content. Amaranth got her account back later on, as I'm sure a lot of you know, but I believe that IndieFox did not, and I actually spoke about her case more in depth in my Twitch video in my Book of the Ban series, so if you're interested in her story in more depth, go watch that video after this one. But if you look up IndieFox's Twitch account, to this very day, it says that she's been suspended because of violating the platform's terms of service. But even having said that, we all know that there's just so many subgenres within the ASMR community. I mean, yes, you've got your risque videos, but you've also got your makeup tutorials, you've got your roleplay, you've just got your normal tapping videos, and of course, you've got your mukbangs. These are videos where people eat gargantuan portions of food. It's one of the largest corners of the ASMR universe, and coincidentally,
I wish I was him. I swear.
It's the topic of many of our next
I wish I was him.
because the niche has recently come under fire, with many people questioning whether it's actually good, as many people have recently begun to worry that it actually causes eating disorders. Okay, there is a lot to unpack here, and it's a very touchy and heavy subject. So let me be just very upfront about this. I have never experienced anything close to what someone might consider an eating disorder. I've never been too overweight, I've never been too underweight, I've never consistently overindulged, I've never really stopped myself from eating.
I have.
Always kind of just been fine with who I am and my body. I basically have zero experience on anything to do with eating disorders, so essentially everything I'm about to say comes from articles and studies done by people who are way more knowledgeable in the area than I am, such as the one published in the Metro back in April 2020 by Matthias Strand and Sanna Alia Gustafsson, whose study aimed to explore how viewers of mukbang videos relate their audience experiences to symptoms of disordered eating. They analysed a total of 986 YouTube comments from the most popular ASMR videos, and also analysed 330 online posts from Reddit where the topic of mukbangs and eating disorders were discussed. They found that when typing, people would either use an insider or an outsider perspective. An outsider perspective, for example, is much more observational. The commenter is keeping a distance between themselves and what's happening in the video, so they'll be commenting on what's actually happening there. An insider perspective, on the other hand, is someone that's relating the video back to themselves. They categorize the outsider comments into one of four groups: envy and amazement, body shaming, supportive, and explanation. But the more problematic of these perspectives, on the other hand, was the insider perspective. These had 6 categories. These were comments that limited eating, comments that increased eating, comments that were ambivalent and straight down the middle, comments that reduced loneliness, comments that reduced guilt, and comments that were obsessive and self-destructive.
Self-destructive?
These were their findings from analysing these comments. Firstly, the researchers often had a difficult time determining whether a comment should be classified as healthy or unhealthy because they don't know the person that left it. An insider perspective on one of these videos, for example, that said the user wanted to eat less could go either way, because if the user was already underweight, this would be deemed as unhealthy, but if they were morbidly obese, this would be considered more healthy. And it works the other way around, because if a comment was left saying the person wanted to eat more because of this video, well, if they were underweight, that would potentially be a good healthy thing, but if they were morbidly obese to begin with, that would be considered more unhealthy. But the researchers brought this up, and I think it's important to remember, it doesn't just have to be one thing, right? Healthy or unhealthy, black or white. There are shades of grey in between. But having said that, they also noted that there's been an escalation in the niche over the years, with earlier videos being much more modest portions, but being sensationalized into comically large amounts later on, because these videos just happen to get the most views. People click on these videos to gawk at the people that are scoffing down these family-sized portions. Some of them scoff at the food, others grow hungry because of it. And it's also fair to assume that these comments were left by older teenagers and young adults, as 18 to 24-year-olds make up roughly half of the ASMR age demographic. And to make matters worse, this is almost the perfect storm for eating disorders because it's right in the most common age that they occur, being most prevalent in females aged between about 12 and 25. The researchers concluded by saying that there is a striking ambivalence in the ASMR community, and that ASMR mukbangs don't just have to be helpful or destructive, they can be both at the same time, both useful and hurtful. These things can exist at the same time, because while for some it could help with their eating disorders, for others it could make it worse. I understand that this is more to do with mukbangs as a whole than ASMR, but since mukbangs are just such a huge part of the ASMR community, I thought it was important to mention them in this video, and mention them we will continue to do. So while we're at it, let's talk about an ASMR mukbang YouTuber who absolutely boils my blood. My hatred for her is only second to my ex-girlfriend and future wife Samantha. I know you're watching this, by the way. It's only you that exceeds how much I hate So Young. Now,
My hand is a dish
Goldfish!
for you.
For you. For you. For.
You want? Mode Sense is here to help you save.
Why?
Mode Sense is here to help you save. 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 M
Yeah,
The last
B.
time I mentioned her on this channel was probably about a year ago when she was still eating live squids and octopuses. But
Wow.
these days it seems as though she cooks her proteins in advance, which works to be less cruel and also more visually appealing. So these criticisms that I have of her are at the very least what she did a few years ago. But what she was doing back then, I genuinely believe was cruel. If you don't watch her videos or you've never heard of her, as I mentioned, she did ASMR mukbangs, but with a twist of torture. In a fair point.
Yeah! Woo! Animal torture! Woo! Animal abuse!
Food was still alive.
You love to see it.
So she would kind of play around with it a lot, almost making it a bit of a sick game. After a long indoor build-up, where these fish or squid or octopuses would try and crawl away, she would eventually kill it, but half the time it was just so torturous, she would stab it without ending its life. It was absolutely horrible to watch. I've got to think that next to Nikocado Avocado, So Young is the most controversial mukbang YouTuber. But when it comes to ASMR, she is head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. But since the last time I checked, she doesn't really seem to do it so much anymore. Perhaps the backlash was
Thank
just too much
God.
for her, so I
Good
can now say
Lord.
that she is no longer my arch nemesis.
I once saw like a thumbnail of a ASMR eating dog. A dog, I think. Had its skin like ugh.
So let's flip things around for our next story. We're going to talk about a popular subgenre within a popular subgenre within ASMR. Let's talk about animal ASMR mukbangs. These are actually videos where animals are being way overfed during their ASMR mukbangs. Now here's the thing, especially when you have a pet, you will know that it is vital to keep them a healthy weight. It's just not fair to them to give them food to a point where they're obese and can't move about. You need to give them a fair, balanced diet and let them have plenty of exercise, especially if they're a dog. Because if they're a cat, they'll just kind of sit there on their ass, but if they're a dog, you need to get them out and running. And as long as we're using dogs as an example, you need to know that it's so important to give them food that's actually fit for dogs. But it was 2 years ago when there was a dog ASMR mukbang that went viral in China, and it challenged 2 dogs to eat 38 different snacks and 8 drinks. When it ended, one of them had its belly fully distended. And probably worse yet is the absolute cruel scenes of people feeding their dogs bowls of chili pepper. That went 2 years ago when there was a dog ASMR mukbang that went viral in China, and it challenged 2 dogs to eat 38 different snacks and 8 drinks. When it ended, one of them had its belly fully distended. And probably worse yet is the absolute cruel scenes of people feeding their dogs bowls of chili peppers. I mean, this is straight up animal abuse. I don't even know if I show it. All for the sake of a few measly clicks. People were doing just disgusting, unethical, vile, evil, disturbed things to their dogs. On this article that I read about the situation, it was published in Chinese, so I had to translate it over, but it claims that on Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok, mistreating your pets for some clicks and follows is somewhat normal. Videos such as "What is this cat's angry reaction?" and "Cat learns to swim for the first time" became very popular. The latter of which gained over 5 million views. And if you've been following my channel for a while now, you might know that this sounds eerily similar to something I brought up in my Terminated YouTube channel's video, because that was the video where I discussed fake animal rescue content. These were videos where people would intentionally put animals into distressing or outright dangerous situations just for the sake of rescuing them on camera, seeming like a hero and gaining a bunch of clicks. So we've just gone full circle because apparently China has been doing that too. So yeah, if you're thinking of setting up an ASMR channel in the future, because I'm sure there'll be a few ASMR fans watching this very video, make sure not to include your pets in it. Or at the very least, don't abuse them on camera for the entire world to see. Do it behind closed doors. Okay!
Yeah! I'm just kidding.
Okay, that was a joke. I was joking there. And with that cancelable joke,
Yeah.
I think it's time to close the doors on this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please make sure to...
Yeah, I will be sure. Totally. Snapchat. I use Snapchat. Can you? Thank you. Thank you.
One of the largest breaches of online privacy ever recorded. One of the largest social media apps in the world, known as Snapchat, was caught up in the middle of a scandal that had been reported by several of the most reputable news outlets out there. And reports broke. It was in May of 2019 when reports broke surrounding one of the largest breaches of online privacy ever recorded. One of the largest social media apps in the world, known as Snapchat, was caught up in the middle of a scandal that had been reported by several of the most reputable news outlets out there, in which several of their employees were said to have abused their position to access their users' data and to spy on them. It was a normal Thursday.
Whoa!
Of 8:45 in the evening, Joseph Cox of Vice's tech department's Motherboard would release an article that would forevermore discredit Snapchat's reputation. And what Motherboard would find was damning, to say the least. They were able to obtain facts and statements from numerous former employees, one current employee, and a cache of internal company emails to discover that a few years before the report dropped, likely at some point in the early to mid-2010s, there were Snapchat workers that abused their power to access their users' personal information, such as their phone numbers, email addresses, saved snaps, and perhaps most worryingly of all, their location. It goes without saying that this was a huge violation of their users' privacy, but even more so for an app such as Snapchat, which had a huge draw of being the app of anonymity many years ago. Snaps would only be able to be seen for a few seconds, and then would be permanently deleted into the void. Or at least, so people thought. The idea that these Snapchat employees would breach their own rules and violate their users' privacy should have been very concerning to many. But it was actually this app's unique selling point which would lead to this espionage later on. Because it doesn't take a genius to know that disappearing messages would be very useful for people intent on breaking the law, as we'll further delve into later in the video. Law enforcement worked with Snapchat to develop a tool named SnapLion, which worked to access users' data so that when requested, Snapchat could give it over to the police. SnapLion itself is a play on words in reference to law enforcement officer, or LEO, Leo, Lion. According to various sources, it was claimed that Snapchat's customer ops department, as well as their security department, had access to SnapLion, which reportedly held the keys to the kingdom, and whose existence wasn't known about to the public prior to this Vice article dropping. Now, I think it's important to mention that tools similar to SnapLion aren't inherently a bad thing. They're actually the industry standard and can be very helpful in law enforcement cases. They can oftentimes be the difference between a criminal being locked up and walking free. But when handled incorrectly, we have such incidents as we had here, when consumers' privacy has been clearly violated. Snapchat will come out to say that they took these sorts of matters very seriously, and that anyone who violated their business conduct would be immediately fired. Though even having said that, Snapchat have since come out and said they're now not exclusively only using SnapLion in collaboration with law enforcement, is being more commonly used throughout the company, meaning that though in theory this should be used professionally, who actually knows if it will be in practice? This was just one of the many controversies and scandals that Snapchat have found itself caught up in over the past few years. But it's also one that perhaps
I only do Snapchat for the filters.
Perhaps hasn't been reported about as much as it should have been. This is clearly a huge violation of privacy, and when looking it up on YouTube, it's very hard to find videos about it. And it has to make you wonder, what else are they hiding? So in this video, over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to air Snapchat's dirty laundry from the past decade or so for the whole world to see. Dirty laundry such as the allegations against their billionaire CEO Evan Spiegel, who had previously been accused of racism by a former employee. The story here is that back in 2015, there was a man of the name Anthony Popliano who was temporarily employed by Snapchat for a total of 3 weeks, during which time he claims that the CEO stated that he didn't want the app to expand into what he called poorer countries such as India and Spain. These allegations broke in April of 2017 and were promptly and entirely ignored by the Spanish. They didn't care whatsoever. But over in India, it was a bit of a different story. By the time this story broke, Snapchat had over 4 million active users within India, many of whom, upon finding out this new story, boycotted the app, deleted it and spread the accusations around. But it could be argued that they might have been a bit too hasty to do this, because Snapchat would immediately clap back at this and say that the accusations were entirely ridiculous. And it also needs to be said that the person who originally made these claims, Anthony Popliano, would later take Snapchat to court in a case that was immediately thrown out by the judge. To say that he only worked there for 3 weeks, that he had clearly a bad reputation with the company, and that he was the only person since to claim that Spiegel said these sorts of things was peculiar to say the least. I really don't know if he's the most reliable source to come out with this stuff. On top of that, back in the mid-2010s, the world was made aware of the large online market that India could dominate, because it would only be a few years later, in 2018, that T-Series, an Indian brand, would become the most subscribed YouTube channel in the world. These sorts of trends would be seen way in advance by social media experts, so it would really make no sense to say these sorts of things about such a large and upcoming market. But having said that, not I, nor you, nor any journalist in the world can say for certain what happens behind closed doors of Snapchat's headquarters. So there is a chance that Mr. Spiegel did in fact say those things. But from one Asian-based controversy to another, our next story is going to be very controversial. If you're new to this channel, we like to respectfully talk about dicey and controversial topics here, but just a warning, that's exactly what we're going to do now, because in August of 2016, Snapchat was accused of adding a filter that's been described as yellowface. Just in case you don't know what yellowface is, it's essentially the Asian equivalent of blackface. And Snapchat came under scrutiny for adding a filter which many people think
No. No way. Bro, why ain't woman? Hello? Bro.